Hey audio listener, David here. I just want to give you a heads up that this is a very visually intense show. My guest Natalie Ciufo takes me through the stunning self-portraits that she's both captured and edited entirely on her phone. And to get the full enjoyment out of the show, I recommend that you switch over to watching the video on YouTube where you can see everything. But of course, you're welcome to continue listening here if that's what you choose to do so. Either way, enjoy and thanks for tuning in. Hey, I'm David Addison and welcome to episode 4 of the David Addison Show for the iPhoneography podcast. Now, today on episode 4, I have my second ever guest, and I'm really excited because she is a woman whose self-portraits, keep in mind when you see these photos, these are self-portraits taken with a phone, and they've just been blowing my mind, and I know they're going to blow yours. I shared some of her work in like a promo on Instagram before, and the comments and the responses, people were just like reacting how I thought they would. They couldn't believe, just like I couldn't, that these were taken with a phone. And we're lucky enough today to have the woman herself on. She's going to take us through a little bit. I'm sure she won't reveal all of her secrets. Maybe she will. I don't know. Let's see how much I can squeeze out of her. So after it, I'm hoping I'm going to be a better photographer. I want to learn a few things. And speaking of learning a few things, that's what I want the show to be. Just going back to last episode when I talked about elitism in photography and mobile photography. And I don't just want these shows to be me just talking at you and you listening and then it ends, you know. I actually want to learn something. When I talk about these subjects, you know, I'm not Mr. Know-it-all. I'm going to put my ideas out there. And I want you guys to comment and give me your thoughts and educate me and give me your perspective. And you did that big time on the last show. So all the comments were great. I learned a lot. But my favorite one was from a regular commenter, regular viewer called Armin. He is from Malta, which I've never been lucky enough to go to Malta. A ship I was on was registered in Malta. That's the closest I've been. And he said, I asked a question about why do iPhone photographers put in their bios on Instagram that they are iPhone photographers? And I'm not trying to have a go at anyone because I do this too. Is it because they want extra praise having used a phone for these photos? Or is it like a preemptive defense of any criticism? Like, whoa, don't have a go. They're only phone pictures, you know. And I'm genuinely asking the question. And Armin gave me a great response. He said, mostly people do not believe me when I post a photo and I write shot on iPhone. It's not meant to be praise for me. It is showing what a phone can do and kind of motivate people who say I cannot take photos as I don't have a good camera. And that is a great take on it. Get people out of that mindset that I need great gear to take great photos, because you don't. And our guest today is all about that. She's gonna put that to rest, or help put that to rest. Anyway, so I don't know where to start. She's an actor. Well, I say she's right here. You are, Nat, an actor, a singer, a model, a dancer. I'm sure you can make a mean cup of tea as well. I don't know. Would you say... You've already got the tea, yeah. Would you say you're a photographer as well, Nat?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because there's that sort of like hesitation to say like, oh, I'm a photographer, because I'm used to being a model, and it's only over lockdown, as with so many people trying new things, that I actually was like, right, okay, I'm gonna experiment and see what I can do. So I mean, I don't know whether it's the similar thing to what you're talking about. I think, you know, when people say, oh, this is shot on an iPhone, and it like I haven't got all the gear, I haven't got all the, you know, big cameras and setups and stuff, but you know, I create images that I really love, because I love drawing and being creative in that way, and it's just, for me, it's another creative outlet, it's another way to express myself. So I don't know. I'm slightly hesitant to put that label being like, oh, I'm a photographer, but that is only because I'm aware of what other people might think of that, which kind of ties into I assume the your past podcast.
So where did the inspiration for these pictures come from? Did they come from your own mind, from films, from other photographers? Like what? Where was it?
Um, a lot of it is kind of just, oh, I want to try this. Like it's all very, very experimental. There's a couple of images that I had planned, but a lot of the time I was just winging it. Um, you know, like I said, I like to draw and paint, and for me, it's very much a similar kind of process that I just, I'll wake up and be like, right, I want to do something today. Let's see what happens. So a lot of it started with maybe because I found over lockdown as well, I started sort of messing about with like makeup and things like that. So originally it started as I would do sort of a creative makeup look, and I didn't want to just be like, right, I'll take a selfie now. I wanted to create an image that was like good, like it was a piece of art in itself, rather than just I'm just going to snap a quick selfie. So that's kind of how it started, I think. But I didn't really sit down and plan exactly what I wanted to do, like meticulously. A lot of these images was just playing. It was just messing about, and it was nice because there wasn't that pressure. Because a lot of the other creative things I do, I still absolutely love it. But this is the photography and the self portraits. It was just like no pressure. It was purely for me, just playing, which was lovely.
I want to get into your photos. Tell me, in fact, before you do, let me see if I can just have a quick look around here. This looks like I can see a circular catchlight in your eyes, so it's like something like this in my background, a ring light, and it looks like flower petals. So this is a blend mode in Photoshop or some other imaging software, or it's a double exposure. Enlighten us.
So yeah, this one was taken with a ring light, because it's actually this was a makeup look that I did, um, and I think this was quite an early one because I moved from using the ring light to using natural light. Um, I think both of them work well for different things, but I started favouring trying to use natural light. And then there was an orange flower, and I was like, "Oh, this looks pretty." I
Where
had
was it? In your
flowers.
garden or?
My mum just had a bunch of flowers that she'd been bought, and because some of the other pictures that I took, I was faffing about with flowers in my hair and like in my mouth, and like just like experimenting. And I was like, what, I'll take just some nice pictures of these flowers. And then as I was editing, so I used Snapseed.
Snapseed, I like it.
So
There's
that's
someone watching who's going to get a big kick out of that.
yeah. So I've never, I don't use Photoshop. It's something that I maybe will get into in the future, but at the minute, all of these have been done with Snapseed, and I just started like I just put an image in, and because I don't, again, I'm just learning on the go. I don't really know what the correct things to do are, but in a way, I think that kind of helps me because I'm not being
I
like, oh
love
well,
that.
I shouldn't do this, and I shouldn't. I'm like, oh right, what does this do? And you just try it, and I'm like, oh, okay. So I discover, what dodge and burn was and all that kind of stuff, just
Yeah.
as I was going. So it's sort of, I just developed the knowledge of what everything was. So yeah, I put it onto Snapseed, and it is a double exposure. And I
So this is
can't
Snapseed
remember.
on the phone as well.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do everything. The whole process is done on my phone.
Wow,
Yeah.
crazy.
So I did a double I think I put the portrait on first, and then I put the flower on, and then there's like different things. Again, like I'm like, oh, there's different things you can do because I don't know the correct
It
terminology,
doesn't
but I
matter.
think
It does not matter one bit.
I think it was. Let me have a go. Actually, let me get it up, and I'll be able to tell you what it was that I did.
Yeah,
Okay,
no
so
worries.
I went on Subtract.
Okay, yeah, the subtract blend mode, yeah.
Yeah, so I clicked on every one, and I was like, oh, this was just the one that stood out to me the most. And I know I did definitely dodge and burn some of this because I really wanted the petals, because there's like some of the corners weren't strong enough. I wanted that, I wanted people to be able to be like, oh, okay, there's something a bit different going on here. So I accentuated the petals by doing a bit of dodging and burning. Um, and what did I do for the? Because I managed originally the background wasn't that dark, so somehow I got I got it because I wanted it to be really dark so the image would stand out more. Yeah.
All the elitists around the world, all their heads are just exploding now because you've created this and you're like, how did I do that? Well, I just
Oh,
picked the best one, and there'd be someone out there
yeah.
going, oh well, the f stop is not quite how I would, and you're like, oh, get a life, like you're just killing it. It's fantastic.
And I like it. Oh, I dodged the eye as well because the eye was really dark. It was really dark, and I was like, no, I want that sort of orange glow.
What I like is I like this juxtaposition between the white ring of the ring light and the black ring of your iris. They're
Yeah.
interlocking. It's so cool
So
to me.
yeah, I did the dodge, and then I did so I made the outer eye darker for that reason.
I love it. I did the dodge. I love it.
Dodging it.
I did the dodge. I did the dodge. Just I love this. And in case you can't tell, guys, Nat's from the greatest city in the world. Same city that I'm from, Manchester. She's right northern, isn't it, lass? So, excellent. Are you ready to talk us through another?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, let's have a look at this one. This is, you are in your natural light phase here, because,
Yeah.
again, we can see the window. And are these, if you guys can see them, are these the reflection in your eye of your eyelashes, or are these trees outside your window in the catchlight? And this is
Trees.
portrait mode, right?
So these pictures, some of them are taken on they're all taken on my phone camera through just the normal camera, and then some of them are taken through an app called Procam X.
Procam X.
Yeah, and let me have a look.
And this is for, I wasn't going to mention the make and model of your phone, not because the podcast is called iPhoneography, that doesn't matter. I wasn't going to mention it because the gear doesn't matter. That's the sort of theme of the episode. But since you mentioned a specific app, it really doesn't matter. You use a Huawei, so that's Android, right? So
Yes.
all you Android listeners who complain that iPhone have better apps, well, you have no excuses now, guys.
Yeah, so so this one, I'm sure there'll be an image that I have taken on that, so I can talk about that more later. But this was taken just with the camera that's on the phone, and yeah, it was. This is portrait mode. I did try some that weren't on portrait mode, but I just really liked the focus that it had on the face, and it sort of blurs everything out in the background, which when I'm taking just pictures of my mates, I hate that. I'm like, why is it? Because cameras on your phone now, they do so much for you, don't they? It's like, oh, I detect a face, straight onto portrait mode. I don't want that. So sometimes I do click off portrait mode, but for this, I really liked it because, you know, the focus was obviously on the face.
And this doesn't look like Snapseed to me. Is this edited or is this just how it was taken?
It was minimal editing on this. Snapseed again, yes, but I didn't want to overdo it on this one because I think the makeup is enough. I think, you know, it can be easy to go overboard with editing. I mean, the first image we talked about, that was obviously heavily edited, but that was the style that I was going for. But for this, I just, you know, it was very minimal because, I mean, I really liked the image as it was. It didn't need much doing to it, and I think sometimes it's tempting to just start editing
for the sake of
because you're like, oh, I need to edit it. But very, very minimal editing done here.
I want to talk about the light as well. How close are you to this window? How big is the window? And what time of day was it? Because I think that's important as well.
The window, I'm trying to the window probably, window was maybe about 1.5 meters away. So it's quite, I mean, our bedroom's only quite small. And if I remember rightly, this was later on in the day.
Right.
It was a nice weather day for photography. I think we mentioned this last time we shot. It was quite cloudy, but like bright and cloudy, if that makes sense. So it was.
Yeah.
I said it's like nature's softbox, isn't it? So the light was just. It really was just perfect. Again, though, sometimes it's just you just work with what you've got, don't you? And the light was really good on that day. It was a good light day.
Did you take the photo because there was good light, or had you made yourself up like this and then you were like, okay, where's the light?
The second one.
The second one.
So yeah, I had a free day, and I didn't want to, you know, sometimes I'm like, oh, I have a free day, so I'm gonna do a load of admin work and this and that, and I was like, no, right, just get out again, this is, even the makeup is just like Poundland crappy stuff that I bought. I was like, oh, I'll just paint on my face instead. And then I saw it and I was like, you know what, that's pretty good actually. I'm gonna take a picture of this. And then I just found where the light. So I did go in different rooms of the house to see where the light was coming in from, different angles, and my bedroom just happened to be the best one.
So this is the front-facing camera.
So some of these images from this set were front-facing, but I think this particular one wasn't. So I'd just bought myself one of those Bluetooth clicker things.
Right. I was going to ask next, how are you contorting to take these these pictures?
So some of them, the earlier ones either were front facing, and I would just kind of come up with a cool pose that didn't have one hand in, so I could like press the button. Then sometimes I do timer, and I like sort of set myself up and like, oh, does this look cool? And I'll go back and like have to have a look and see if I'm, you know, even in the shot. Sometimes I'm like way off. I've got like just an ear in. I'm like, oh right, okay, that's not working. This one was, I was still messing about with this Bluetooth thing. But again, you know, you have to find ways to hide it. So this doesn't have both my hands in, but there are some where I have my hands in the shot and I'm like having to hide it somehow.
So this one is a very elegant portrait. Over to you. What's going on here?
again, this was like a result of lockdown. So with my singing, I like singing jazz and retro stuff. So I'd done this look, and I was like, actually, I've surprised myself here. This looks semi decent. So I recorded a song and that. Because I was like, this look, there's too good to waste. So I recorded a video, and then I thought, you know what, whilst I'm done up like this, I want to try and get like a real classic portrait. That was kind of what I set out to do. I wanted to get sort of that, trying to capture more of like the vintage sort of Hollywood glamour portrait style.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is my trusty grey blind backdrop with a ring light. This is on portrait mode, I think. Yes, it is.
Yeah, maybe there's some of the hairs, and I mean the one that you and I are looking at it's not the highest resolution, but maybe you can just see some of the hairs are a bit out of focus now that you say it.
Oh, I might have. This is hard. This is hard because I do things and then I forget. I might have actually softened that,
Right.
myself, to get that sort of hazy look that you see a lot of in these old Hollywood portraits. That might have been the case, But anyway, this was done on a timer. So it was very much like, there's a lot of trial and error that goes on, especially with the timer portraits, because you just kind of you've just got to press go and then be like, oh, okay, and then look and see if it's worked. And
Yeah.
funny. I did a couple of, you might have seen them, I did a couple of timer portraits where I was in the bath. It was like, now that would have been funny to be a fly on the wall. I was like,
there's one where you're like this.
yeah. But, so yeah, this was a timer, and yeah, I can't remember how much editing I actually did on this. I definitely put a vignette on it, and that a vignette alone I don't think was enough for what I wanted. So I did the dodge, just in the corners. The dodge. Corners. I think
This lighting is so uniform. Could you talk to me about the lighting here?
Yeah, I want to say that I might have actually set up 2 ring lights for this. So one of them was sort of more direct facing, and I put my phone in the ring light to get that. So I was like shooting through the ring light.
Right.
How did I? Yeah. So my phone was actually in the ring light shooting, but I think I had a secondary light as well because I wanted it wasn't lighting enough of my forehead. Like, so I put I put another ring light. We love a ring light. Behind, slightly further away. But again, it's all so trial and error. So I took a couple being like changing where the secondary light was, because it completely, I think lighting can completely change. Well, it does. It completely changes an image and what it picks up. And I think by getting my forehead lit the way I wanted, I lost some of the definition in my cheekbones, which I brought back with a dodge. I did a dodge.
You did a dodge.
Yeah.
I don't mean to be one of those guys, but in this case, you will have did the burn. I did the burn.
Oh, I did the burn. There you go. You see what I mean? So I did the burn. So I brought back the burn makes it darker, doesn't it? The dodge makes it lighter.
Whatever you say, Nat.
Is that right?
Yes, it is.
Right. You see, even now I get confused. So this is the burn. I did the burn.
I
and I
love
did
it.
that on... Oh, God.
No, see,
All
I'm
your
not. I'm not taking the mic. I absolutely love this.
listeners are going to be like, what is she doing? But, yeah, so it took away... By getting my forehead lit the way I wanted, it took away the definition of my cheekbones, which I added in through Snapseed with the burn. I softened the out like bits of the hair and stuff. What did I do that with? Hang on, let me see.
I can see some bits of lighter specks in your lighter areas of the hair.
Well, so with the with Dodge,
Mm-hmm.
I did both Dodge and burn in my hair actually, because the swirls were they weren't as defined as they were in person. So I them, and the bits where my hair had naturally caught the light, I enhanced them slightly as well.
Right.
I think I did a little bit on like under my eye on the... Do you know where at the moment the whole what's it called, contouring that people do with the makeup, and they put things like darker here and sort of lighter. I think I sort of did that a little bit in editing, just to enhance different...
On the iPhone, portrait mode has a contour look built in, and it always looks ridiculous.
It's you know, this is the thing why I don't like when I'm just taking a picture of my mate or something. I always take it off portrait mode because it gets caught, and as well the skin, like does it do something to your skin? Because people look a bit robotic sometimes, like it smooths out, so all your blemishes are gone, and I'm like, it doesn't look like a human being anymore, does it?
I'm going to take one to show.
Okay.
Is it going to focus on me?
Oh, I see. Oh yeah.
It's I'll put it on the screen for the listeners. Yeah, but my skin has just been completely, all my blemishes, because I'm the wrong side of 30 now, so I've got a few little lines and
everything. I think, sometimes I do see people, posting stuff, and I'm like, you what? Like, you don't look human anymore. So I definitely didn't want that. I still wanted to look like a human being. But so what was I talking about? Oh yeah. So I added the sort of softening of the sides with the lens blur on Snapseed, where you can, say
lens blur, yeah,
what the blur strength is and what, which bits you want blurred. So I did that, and I also think I added the tiny... There's an option that says glamour glow.
Glamour glow in Snapseed, yes, it's coming back to me now. So there's one that just does the eyes as well, isn't it, and the lips. That's what you were talking about. It's like a different face modes.
Yeah, there are. There's different. I think that's like a portrait one where it like picks up on your eyes and you can enhance that. But no, I think for this one I just put the tiniest amount of glamour glow on. Like, I'm talking a minuscule amount, but it just brought that sort of old school sort of look to it.
Cool. So let's move on to the next one, and in this one you have twin sister. I like the attention to detail here. You've got the top Nat is with the hair being affected by gravity. Bottom Nat. Now, is the hair tied up for a reason? Are you trying to hide something here, Nat?
So this was one of my earliest ones. To be honest, this is the image where I was like, actually, no, like, I am creating some good shit. Like, this was one where I was like, this is a piece of art, So this was an online collaboration with loads of different people to take photos. We were each allocated a different card from a tarot deck, and I got the Lovers. So traditionally on a card, like a tarot card, the illustration is of two people, and I was like, oh, but there's only one of me, so how do I do that? So I thought, well, I'll just make it work. So that's why I wanted to sort of differentiate the fact that, you know, it's supposed to be two different people. So again, this was very experimental. This was against a wall, just a plain blue wall that I have. But I think for this, I liked the blue colour as a backdrop because I wanted it to be lighter. Because I think it's quite easy for me. Now I've got this grey backdrop, I stick a grey backdrop up and it makes the background quite dark in a lot of my work. But I was like, no, I want it to be lighter. So this is natural light using the window.
So where is it in relation to you?
So it was on my right-hand side, again, maybe a couple of meters away.
Right.
This was done, I want to say this was later on in the day again, maybe about 4-ish, but this was when, you know, the light was still, we weren't losing light, it was still quite bright. So yeah, my bedroom is like at the front of the house, and you've got like the open the street. So it was very interesting because if anyone looked up, they'd have just
there she is again.
half naked. Yeah. So these were actually originally taken. I was facing the same direction. I was stood up for these. This was on a timer. And I knew that I wanted some sort of crossover to happen with the hands. So I quite a lot of images where I was doing different things, with, you know, trying to create interesting shapes with my arms and my hands, and, you know, hiding things that I didn't want to show as well.
Yeah.
The top image, because I was wearing a pair of jeans, I think you might be able to see that I've just sort of blended off my complete bottom half. It's like I'm in some sort of cloud or something.
In top, I was wondering where top Nat sort of disappears to up here.
Yeah. So I was wearing jeans, and I was like, that complete, when I did it, I was like, that completely just takes away, like, from the image I'm trying to create. So yeah, it was all very natural light. This had quite a lot of editing because I wanted to be like facing myself. So again, on Snapseed, I flipped one of the images. This is a double exposure as well. I flipped, and then I strategically like placed it so I would be looking, so that the characters would be looking at each other. That was just sort of strategic placement. I knew I wanted this image to look almost like a stone sculpture.
It does.
It to look like a marble statue almost. So I think I definitely upped contrast on it, and again, I love a dodge and burn. I basically sculpted it with that.
In dodging and burning, nice.
The dodging and burning. So I think being going back to the fact that, you know, I like to draw and stuff. I know looking at it, I knew where to add the highlights and the shade to where it would naturally fall. Like obviously there was some shadow that had occurred which I used as a guide, but I knew where to add that to make it look more defined and sculpted out, basically. So this, out of all of them, this one is probably the most work with regards to, it was like I was drawing a picture, which I think you can kind of tell in the final piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got rid of my bottom half. I did that with using the heat tool.
The healing brush, did you say?
Yeah.
Healing tool,
So
right.
that I'm assuming again, like I am just the whole process for me is so experimental. And going back to the fact that, I don't know what all these things mean. I was just like, what does this do? What does this do? So it doesn't, I'm not thinking about like the correct way of doing things, but I mean, you can tell me like the healing, does that just sort of take part of the image and put it over and sort of like...
I don't want to tell you anything in this podcast. I'm here to learn from you, seriously, because
I mean, I don't know what
I love the fact that, like, and you just made me think there about something that I hadn't considered before, and it was the fact that I think photographers, and me included, hold ourselves back or change what we do because we think it's not the correct thing to do. I won't take this picture because it's not the correct way. Like I said to you before we started, my light's in the shot. That's not correct, but screw it, add the lights in the shot, and who cares at the end of the day?
Yeah, we do. We put so much pressure on ourselves.
Yeah.
So much pressure. Like, this is the correct way. And, when you work out there, you're always running that risk of pulling you apart and being like, that's not right and this isn't right. But I'm like, you know what? I've created this and I like it. So you've got to stick by your guns, I think. But, so I must have used a duplicate tool to get rid of my bottom half because it was so distracting that I was just wearing some blue. I was like, and then I wanted, I'd done all that and the background was still quite stark. I just knew that I wanted the background to be more textured, and if I had the money, I definitely would have probably bought a backdrop or painted one myself for this. If I just didn't. So that it was all done in post.
Yeah, speaking of gear and money, often gear won't make your photos better. It just saves you time.
Yeah. Well, that's
makes things
it.
a bit easier.
It would have just saved me the time that I spent creating the look that I wanted. But I mean, the bottom line is I still got the look that I wanted. Just my wall and the natural light and Snapseed.
Not sponsored by Snapseed. Snapseed, get in touch. Let's move on to, we've talked about number 4. Let's move on to this one. This is this one could be timer or the hand is in shadow. Is the Bluetooth clicker hiding in that?
Yeah, and I was a little bit annoyed with that because I really wanted it to be symmetrical, and I just couldn't because I was clicking. Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't even know where to start here. I mean, you go for it. Enlighten me.
This started originally. I had a completely different idea. I knew I wanted to do like a wet look. So my hair is wet. I had a cup of water because as I was shooting, my skin was drying. So I had like a cup of water next to me, and I was like, no, I just need to flick some more water in my face. And my lips are heavily glossed. in this because I wanted to get the light catchment on my lips.
Catchment.
But I don't even know what that is. That the right thing?
We're getting so many catchphrases out of this podcast. It's amazing. I like catchment. Let's go with catchment.
Like catchment. I knew that I wanted it to catch my lips in some way. I didn't want them to be flat. But this was a shoot that, I mean, this is one of my favourite images. I really like the way this turned out, but it's not what I set out to do. It was a portrait that I was going for, but I wasn't getting anywhere with it. But I didn't want to be like, right, that's it, you know, I'll just call it a day and end up with nothing. So I just thought, right, let's just mix it up. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Use the ring light in a way that you wouldn't normally. That's literally all I said to myself. Like, right, what have you got? You've got a ring light. So I it's literally just started experimenting with it. I put it on different parts of my body. Yeah, that's literally what.
I can't do it. You see, I'm not getting the same look now. Where am I going wrong? Actually, that's the look, isn't it? Am I resting it on the bridge of my nose? I mean, what am I doing?
Balanced on the bridge.
And now it's stuck.
I had it behind me. I had it around my neck at one point. I had it like threaded through my arms, and just seeing like the different ways it lit up my body. And yeah, so somehow it was all very sort of. This was very experimental. I didn't have a plan for this one at all. I was just like, just try something different. Because I think we're so, you know, we with the, you know, little equipment I do have, sometimes you don't think about the other things you could do with it, and to get outside of the box and to, you know, there's so many other things, but, you know, oh, well, this is the done thing and this is how it's used. And safe, I think sometimes they don't think about the possibilities of what you could do with even just a ring light. So yeah, very experimental, and it was completely balanced. And yeah, it done with the Bluetooth clicker. Yeah, so it just sort of came about, and I was looking through these images, and when the original image, I kind of almost dismissed. I was like, I didn't see any of them as being that strong, and I thought, you know what, just work with one and see what you can do. And then it turned out like this, some sort of, I don't know, like sci-fi thing. I don't, yeah.
No, it's great. I love that. Work with what you've got and take it and stretch it. And I think you've hit on some really key points there. Like here's a light. This is what it's for. No, don't do that with it. That's not what you're supposed to do with it. Like, no, I'm going to make it do this thing. Because I've never had money, and I've always done the same thing. A few of my older videos, if you go back on my YouTube channel from years ago, you'll see my backdrop is pieces of paper that I've laid down, and I'm removing the edges in Photoshop because I haven't got a white background, and stuff. And I say in the video, if the client who'd hired me to take this this commercial photograph walked in and saw me using pieces of A4 paper, they're gonna be like, what are we paying you for? What are you doing? I'm like, no, the result is gonna look great. Amazing. And there's so many sort of conversations we can have about that. One question I have for you is, and I'm always telling people, when you start shooting, before you start, have a purpose, have a final goal in your head of what you want to achieve, and that's going to guide literally everything else. However, you've just gone against that in a brilliant way, and it just proves that what I'm saying is a guideline. It's not a hard and fast rule that you have to always do that.
Well, I think sometimes we get so hung up on idea. I've done it before with so many things, like, and I had the guideline. I knew what I wanted to achieve, and sometimes, and it can be a number of different like reasons that it's just not working. And I think sometimes you can waste hours just
Mm-hmm.
following that, and you want to create this thing, and but I think with this I was just like, oh god, it, it's not working, it's not like, just so I was just dicking about in my bedroom, really, in the hope that I would hit on something good, and yeah,
And one of your favourites came out of it?
sometimes I think it's nice to just, I have just set up my equipment before and been like, let's just see what happens. And I think that's, it comes with having a more playful nature with things, because so often, like when we're kids, we play. That's what, it's make believe, and we experiment, and we don't have that outward sort of thought, we don't think about what other people are going to think of us. We just are. And I think as we get, we could become more aware of, this is the done thing, and what does this person think of? And, as creatives, we try and say we don't, but we do compare ourselves, and it's like, well, what does this person think of me? And what does this, da, da, da. So we kind of, I think we restrict ourselves a lot, and we lose a lot of that, just experiment and playful joy. And, it's like you said, like, oh, this is a light, this is a ring light, this is how it's used, this is all it can be. But when you're a kid, like, that could be so many different things. But we kind of, as we get older, I think we box ourselves in. It's like, this is the way it's done, and we play by the rules. And so sometimes it is nice just to be like, right, just play. And that can be really difficult to do, though, because if you're not used to it, with me being an actor, I've become more used to like being able to let myself go a little bit, because you have to. So, but I think sometimes when when you come at it at quite a regiment, because with all these self-portraits, for me it's just a really fun creative process, and it goes back to there's no pressure. I'm not using any guidelines. I'm just seeing what happens, and sometimes you hit upon something that's really good.
Let's move on to, I think this is the last image, and like, over to you, please. I mean, this might be a bit of a pun with this image, but enlighten me. Zing.
Right. So this was really early on in my sort of experimenting with self-portraits. It's just a string of fairy lights that my mum has in a vase to look pretty, and I was like, I could do something with that. And this was I was feeling quite down at this time, like beginning of lockdown. Everyone felt shit, and I was trying to capture that sort of, there is, hope. It sounds really wonky, but like I was trying to, that you are your own strength and light, and everything's going to be fine. And so I messed about with a lot of different lighting in this. I had a ring light, and then I had lights in my hands because I wanted my face to be kind of lit up, but that didn't work either. So I ended up just wrapping these lights around myself, which proved quite difficult because this is on a timer as well.
Right. There's a few photography, if I may get a bit pretentious, drop some, there's a lot of, I'm picking up on a lot of that in this picture, and the way you're posed, it's fascinating you should say all this, because you look like a baby who rests in the womb. So it's like you're being sort of reborn in this picture, or you're about to be born. With the way that your eyes are in blackness, you just said,
Yeah.
like, you can't see, you're not sure where you're going.
Yeah.
So that adds to all these feelings that you were feeling, the feelings that you were feeling at the time. It all just adds to that, and that's my my photography wanker analysis of the picture.
Yeah. With all all the portraits that I do, there's a real reflection of how I'm feeling at the time. Like for me, it's such because this was a time where all of because my work is all creative, and all of it went, as I'm sure so many people's did. So I was really struggling to express how I was feeling and that creative outlet, and that's honestly, like, the self portraits was such a great way for me to just express how I was feeling. And it actually, through lockdown, oh God, I don't know what I'd have done without this, without sort of having something new to experiment with. And, it's a blessing. I had the time to sit with these apps and figure out what was what. With this one, because I think I touched upon that Procam X thing that I was the app that I was talking about. I'm pretty sure I shot through that for this one, because you can with that app you can manually, like, set the exposure and the focus and the white balance, and so it gives you a bit more control over the image, as I'm assuming,
Right.
shooting through a camera. So that's what this, I think I messed about a lot with the exposure as well on this one.
Yeah, because, sorry to interrupt, if you would have left this in auto, it would have tried to brighten you, and it would have looked like a mess, I would imagine.
Yeah, it did. So because when I was shooting with just the camera, honestly, it wasn't happy. It made the whole thing so bright, and I was like, that is not what I want at all. So I had to shoot it through this Procam, so I could set all that stuff, because I knew I wanted it to be dark, but it didn't like what I was trying to do, the auto stuff. It was like, I don't understand what you're trying to achieve. So this, again, this was minimal editing, really. The light that was coming from it was quite white. Does that make sense? Like these fairy lights it was a white light, but I knew that I wanted I wanted a warmth to it. So I changed the color. Made the color warmer and the saturation of it slightly. And the hands on this one weren't quite as silhouetted as I wanted them to be. So are you okay? What just happened?
I just knocked my microphone like that. We'll cut this. We'll just cut all this bit.
They weren't silhouetted as I wanted them to be. So again, I did that in the edit. But this one just, it was an image that kind of made itself, really. I think it's pretty much how it was out of the camera. Like, I didn't do anything with the eyes like that. It just, I looked at it and I was like, yeah, like that's pretty much what I wanted.
Nice. I love how you used photography as I don't know, what would you call it? You used photography as a, I don't know, not therapy. Therapy is the wrong word.
Well, you know what? In a way, it does. It helps me with, like, how I'm feeling, and whether that's, I'm like feeling really positive and great, and I'm like, woo, life is great, or if I'm like the total opposite end of the spectrum, and I'm just like, everything's, it helps me express that. Because a lot of the time we go through things that it's not easy to talk about, and it's not, we don't share parts of ourselves. But with some of these images, you know, there's a lot, and whether anyone seeing it gets that, it doesn't really matter, does it? You know, it is almost like a therapy sometimes, creating these images.
Yeah, it's a different type of feed. Usually, you know, someone's feed or someone's grid is my best life, hey.
Yeah,
But your feed actually reflects how you're feeling through these self-portraits. So there's no need to ask, because so
yeah,
next time I
yeah.
see you post a picture like this, I'm going to be like, nah, are you all right?
Okay.
What's
But
going on, Nat?
I was very aware that I didn't. For me, there's a difference between a selfie and a self-portrait. You know, I
Hmm.
wanted a story, and I didn't want it just to be like, you know, like YOLO, life's just this really like well presented, like I don't know, airbrushed. I didn't want that. I want, but in a way as well, that kind of with this image especially, like that whole sort of just share it, because you've put so much of yourself into something. It can make you feel quite vulnerable when you're sharing these things. Um,
Hmm.
like the feedback on this one was immense, because I think people, it made it for me. I want to try. There's two different sort of um like self portraits that I kind of focus on. One is like, it is more if I've done a makeup look and I want to present it in a like really nice way. But a lot of the time I want it to evoke an emotion. Like that's, you know, whatever that may be in someone. Like I want it to tell a story, I want it to evoke an emotion, and I
Mm.
know what I want to say with it. It's like talking, but you don't have, without using the words, you know.
Oh
So,
yeah, well there's that. I think the most cliche, the most overused photography metaphor is a picture tells a thousand words.
yeah, and
And what
yeah,
your photo's saying about you.
yeah, I've heard that one before, but it's, you know, it's true, and a lot of the time, so many people, they'll, you know, it'll speak, images will speak to them depending on where they're at as well in their life, and um,
Yeah.
it's been a real good way of connecting with people over lockdown. The the self portraits, you know. And I did, yeah, it's funny. Like I have had people messaging me being like, "What, you know, what camera are you using?" and what, and I'm
Yeah.
like, it's just my phone."
Yeah.
I've had, you know, that's happened like probably about 8 times, 8, 9 times. People have messaged me like, "Oh, I love what you're creating. I love your work. Like, what gear have you got?" And I'm like, "Nothing. I've got my phone and a ring light and a bit of an imagination and a bit of just like, oh it, like let's just do something." And
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
What gear have you got is, I don't know, there's no wrong questions, I suppose, but it's not the right question to ask when you want
Oh,
to
because
replicate someone's photo.
I'm like, if you like my work, it's not it's not the gear that's producing the work. It's you, isn't it? It's and I think sometimes people think if they've got all of the latest things that their images will be better, or but it
Hmm.
that way. It doesn't work that way. You know, you use what you got. Like you were saying, you're sticking your paper together and getting rid of the lines and stuff. Like
Exactly.
yeah, you use what you've got and you make it work. And there's no shame in that at all. You
Oh
know.
no.
And I
Don't,
think, you
no,
know,
don't be embarrassed.
like you opened the podcast with that quote from a comment from your last podcast with, you know, like why do people put like, oh, this is shot on an iPhone, um you know, I'd agree with that. Like it's not to be like, oh, look what I've done, you know.
Hmm.
It's what you can achieve with just
Yeah.
your phone, and experimenting, and you can achieve some really good things that people message and be like, what camera have you got? I haven't. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't. I'm just
What camera have you got? No.
no. Yeah, no.
I just did
Yeah,
dodge.
the dodge. No, what bit of dodge and burn. Oh gosh. But you
That's
know what? That I can't get it. It's stuck in my head which one's which. I always go back. I'm gonna dodge this, and then I'm like, no, this isn't doing the one that I wanted it to. Every time I mix them up, but it is. Yeah, it's just having. I think the main thing is just having fun. Like, if you're not having fun, why are you even doing it? You know.
oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'm kind of at that stage where sometimes it's not fun.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's what happens when you choose to do it as a career.
You know what? This is the I get that with my acting and my singing. Like, sometimes I absolutely adore performing, but because I've chosen it as my like career path, it takes an element of the fun out of it when it's your career. But this is, for me, like, the self portraits are so lovely. Nothing to do with like my career path. It is, again, it goes back to, it's purely for myself. So I'm able to find the joy and the fun and the creativity in it because I don't have that added pressure of it being my career. And I think for me, like, it it's I found it so amazing because I love being creative, but my work is to be creative, and it does take an element out of it. So to find photography has been an absolute godsend for me because I'm just like, I don't have any. This isn't my career, so I can do what I want,
Yeah.
and just play and have a good time. But I completely understand, because I've done exactly the same with my performing. It's hard, isn't it, to find that balance, and doing your own projects versus working to someone else's spec, and it's
Or paying the
yeah,
bills, having fun or paying the bills.
yeah, and
Because if I put
you
out the video that I actually wanted to make, I wouldn't have any subscribers.
yeah. I know you do, to a certain degree. You do have to like adhere. That's it. You adhere to an audience because that's
Hmm.
what. And I've done. I do it with performing and stuff sometimes because it's like, well, that's what people want. With it's nice to find an outlet where I'm not adhering to. I don't have to adhere to what is gonna be seen as popular, or I am just doing whatever I want with it, and it's so liberating. It really is. It's so lovely to
I
have
love
found.
that.
Yeah.
I've loved every minute of this. I feel inspired. I keep hitting my microphone. I'm so sorry. I feel inspired. I want to just take my phone and go out and,
Do
well, not
it.
go out, stay here apparently. And I do have one final question for you. Feel free to say no. How, and I've asked you this before, privately, but I'm going to ask you now. I'm going to put you on the spot.
Oh no.
Part
Did I have
part two. I think you went. Oh, I don't know. I'm just teasing. Part two. We go behind the scenes, and you create one of these pictures in a video, and maybe not naked.
like
Wait, this just sounds like a really no. You know what? It just sounds like I'm just trying to get my. Never mind. Just forget. I even.
no, but I mean the answer is yes. I'd love to. I'd love to like create something. But I was a little bit nervous about coming on because I was like, oh, people will realise that I don't actually have a clue. So
No, we're not. We're not. I'm not. We're not like that. We don't judge people by how much of a clue they have. It doesn't matter if you know your f-stop from your bus stop. We don't care. It's the result.
yeah, no,
And
I would. I'd love. that, but it will literally just be me being like, what am I doing? Oh, okay, let's put another ring light here. But if that's what you want to watch, then yeah, let's go for it. We can do it, definitely.
Cool, yeah. I think that's something else as well that people don't realise when they see this great work, and not just from yourself but from anyone. They don't see the 10,000 deleted ones. They don't see all the days where you weren't feeling it.
Yeah. There's some
just
days and I'm like, yeah. Not
just showing people that, especially beginners, when they might have again that pressure to, oh God, everyone's sharing all this killer work, and I'm taking this rubbish. Guys behind the scenes, they're not just cranking out bangers every single time they press the shutter. Trust me, they are. That's one of 1,000.
Right.
And then maybe as you get a bit better, you get 2 in 1,000, and
Yeah.
So no, cool. Nat, thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've worked with you on a couple of shoots and got to see your photography now. Just do you have any closing comments? Tell the people, if you want them to. You tell them to buzz off if you want, but if you want to be found, where can they find you?
Well, come find me. Oh gosh. So I have like 3 different Instagrams. One is NCG Model, which is a lot of like my modeling work. Then I have one that is basically just like a splurge of my creativity. It's just whatever I want to post on there, I will. And that is Natalie_Ciufo, which is spelled CIUFO. And then I have another one, which is my singing account, which is ain't.miss.behaving. So that's all my singing and jazzy stuff. I'm on Twitter. I can't even remember what my handle is. I'm sure it's just at Natalie Ciufo. I'm sure you'll find me because there's not many Ciufos around, I don't think.
No.
So yeah, and that was set up for my acting work, but I'd kind of just post a load of like my creative work on there. But yeah, I'd be happy for anyone to find me.
Yeah, as we said, you never know who's watching.
No, you don't watch it. And that, that's another thing as well. Like, I think just being a nice person really helps. Because you don't know who. Don't know, and like you are so supportive, and that it's just through me doing different things that I've like met you, and it's so many times because I really wasn't gonna like properly model for ages. I was sort of doing it because it was sort of something fun to do, and then I was like, you know what, actually go for it, do it. And I've met some amazing people, really amazing people, including yourself, that are just so lovely and supportive and down to earth as well. And just do it, guys. Just do it.
Just do it, yeah. Just press record. Just press the shutter. Just dodge. Just burn. Just do something. Do something. For God's sake.
Something, because we so often just don't, because we are scared or because we doubt ourselves. But yeah, just set up and just try something, and you just never know, do you?
I think that's the perfect. No, those are great. Those are great. Just do something.
Do something.
Seriously.
Exactly.
Cool. So Nat, thank you so much for your time, and to you, thank you so much for watching. If you were listening, then you'll have to imagine the pictures. Good luck with that. Leave your comments down below, share your thoughts and perspectives, and I will see you in the next one.